Oh yeah. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Oh yeah. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Oh yeah. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans.
Oh yeah. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Oh yeah.
Hey friends, welcome to Truth Lies Shenanigans, the live show. My name is Neo. I'll be your guide today through all the shenanigans. My co-host for today's show, to my left, Miss Lizzie.
What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday.
Opposite corner, we're looking at RobB.
Happy hump day, everyone.
And right below me, that's going to be East.
Welcome to the show.
All right. So today's show will continue. We plan to continue our series of coronavirus patients. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that today, but we will be talking about Biden's historic pick for vice president, Kamala Harris. Also, the Washington football player strangles his girlfriend unconscious, and Canada is pretty upset with Trump. Now, remember, social media, make sure you check us out. We are live just about everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitter at TLS Live Show. And as always, We love it when you join in the conversations. You can comment in any of our live feeds. We'll be listening and responding. All right, hosts, big day today. So before we get into the show, I have a dumb ask for you. Now, I know we'll get into the details later, but I'm watching the Kamala Biden announcement, right? And there's no audiences, and there's no enthusiastic claps, no cheers. And if you contrast that to the NBA, where they decided to add in some fake cheers and ambient audience sounds. So I have a question as to which you prefer. You know, do you like the quiet reality of COVID where we have no clapping, no applause, or would you rather have some fake cheering and fake applause? I'll start with Lizzie.
So I've been watching a lot of actually NBA and MLB and NHL over the past 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, since sports have slowly but surely come back into our pastimes here. And I think for the fake audio, I've been able to adjust to it. I'm almost expecting it at this point because it's not overly loud. What I don't like is the cardboard fans. So while I think that the fake audio is okay, and I think it helps to hype the players a little bit,
Yeah.
I don't really need to see during the Democratic convention cardboard fans in the stands. I think that would be going a bit overboard for me.
But you're going for the fake audio. I mean, the fake cheers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Rob
yeah.
B, what do you think?
I think that whatever's appropriate for the venue. So I don't necessarily feel that a political announcement is where you're going to throw in the fanfare and the cheering. But when you have professional athletes and fans who are used to an experience, sharing a collective experience with 15,000 people plus, throwing in that little bit of audio you need to, because I find the empty stands can be very weird. And then to hear that audio sound just kind of makes the needle skip in my brain a little bit every time, but I can see why it would appeal to a lot of players and a lot of the fans.
Yeah. East?
No, I think, like Rob B said, I think given the venue for the political announcement, I think no audio, no cheering, no artificial
fake
clapping.
Okay.
No fake, no ambient noise. I think that was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and honestly, with the NBA, a lot of that is their teammates, but like some of those teammates are cheering very loudly.
That's true.
I was watching one baseball game, and I think with the Phillies, they had a cardboard cutout of Ben Franklin. I'm like, okay, come on, come on. Yeah, nah, yeah.
I'm actually with Lizzie on this one. I think that, I don't know, when I'm watching the Kamala Biden thing and they're announcing her, I'm like, I want to get hyped up. I'm excited. I want to feel, I don't know. I kind of, and then when I'm watching the NBA games, it's actually not bad. I mean, it feels real. I mean, and I kind of agree on the cardboard people. It's kind of.
It feels real to the point where I was watching a game the other night and then I had my back turned to the television and someone made, I think someone hit a home run. This was a Nats game. And someone hit a home run, and the ambient crowd noise in the background, I forgot about it in a sec. So in my head, I'm thinking it's a regular game.
Yep.
And I turned around and I'm like, oh, never mind.
All right. So, if you've never been to our show before or seen it, let me tell you a little bit about Truth Lies Shenanigans. We'll be sharing our truths and opinions with you, calling out the lies, and pointing out the shenanigans going on. And on this show, we try to have some fun with some shenanigans of our own. But we have one rule for our hosts: no cussing.
Cuss as much as you want.
If you're caught cussing, there's a $10 penalty. And if you guys are caught cussing 3 times in the same show, we will be sending a letter on your behalf to...
He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love.
The clown himself, East's boy, Trump.
That's who you rolling with. That's who you rolling with.
Yeah, that's East.
Start with the shenanigans already.
We know who you voted for. We know who you voted for.
Oh, don't start that, please.
But
I'm
Lizzie,
quiet, but I know too many people in these streets. Don't start that.
Lizzie's in the lead on the.
Living your truth.
Lizzie's in the lead on the cussing though. $90. Now, of course, that the cussing pot will go to a deserving charity once once we get to $100.
I don't mind winning because I am the deserving charity. So it's in my best interest to win this game.
I think we're gonna have to get our viewers to decide which charity we're gonna be giving that to. 'Cause it's about to happen soon, so it might happen this show.
Not the Chanel bag charity.
I haven't bought any new bags in almost a year, so I think it's long overdue. Long overdue.
I agree. All right. You should get, but
okay.
It won't be from this this fund. All right. So we're just gonna jump right into it, right onto our hot topics. Real quick, this is how it works. Each host comes with some hot topics they want to discuss, mostly based on discussions they've had with you, the viewers, online, or in this case, whatever they just want to talk about. I'll pick one of the hosts to start us off. They'll tell us what's going on, ask a question to the other co-hosts, and then we'll start the timer and the discussion, and we'll just talk it out. Once time is up, you'll see our boy Genji. He'll let you know the time is up, and we'll shut it down from there. Then we'll move on to the next host and talk about whatever they want. And remember, viewers, your comments and questions do help drive the conversation, so please comment away. Today, we're going to start with Lizzie. And is this a truth, lie, or shenanigans?
This is a truth.
Truth. The truth.
So, finally, our Democratic nominee for President of the United States, number 46, decided that he was going to quit pandering and announce who his VP running mate will be. And so he chose the good sis, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
Before we get into the intro and talking about breaking down this VP pick, I want to hone in on something that's very important. If we are going to have Mrs. Harris, with Joe Biden for a seat, then we need to first and foremost learn how to pronounce her name. Now, I know I just said Kamala. I know Tucker Carlson was just called out profusely for mispronouncing her name and being upset because he doesn't want to correct the pronunciation of her name. But it's not Kamala. It's Kamala.
Kamala.
Kamala. So think of a punctuation mark, a comma, and then put la on the end. Kamala. And I've been saying Kamala.
I have too.
I think as a journalist, as an educator, and as someone who is very into this election come November 3rd, 2020, that we need to pronounce people's names properly. So for all of our fans and viewers out there, even for our critics, it's not Kamala, it's Kamala.
Actually,
right?
and Mike Wolf just put that online, so if you can see that, see how to do it. It's on CNN. I think he put a link there for us. So
Mike Wolf.
Nice.
So remember I was talking about techies before? Mike Wolf was one of my guys. What's up, Mike? So now we have our ticket. Biden Harris 2020. Let's go to the videotape.
all right.
All right.
Hi. Sorry to keep you.
That's all right. You ready to go to work?
Oh my God. I'm so ready to go to work.
We're ready to go with
I
you.
was raised to take action. My mother knew that she was raising two black daughters who would be treated differently because of how they looked. Growing up, whenever I got upset about something, my mother would look me in the eye and ask, "So what are you going to do about it?" That's why, when I saw a broken justice system, I became a lawyer to try and fix it. It's why, during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks as California's Attorney General. It's why, as United States Senator, I have fought to represent people like my mother, people who politicians often overlook or don't take seriously. Right now, America needs action. In the middle of a pandemic, the president is trying to rip away health care. While small businesses close, he's given breaks to his wealthy donors. And when the people cried out for support, he tear-gassed them. America is in crisis, and I know Joe Biden will lead us out of it. He's a man of faith, decency, and character. He raised his family that way. I saw it firsthand with my good friend Beau. As Joe says, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. But together, it's a battle we can win. We just have to take action.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe, and I am ready to work. I am ready to do this with you, for you. I'm just deeply honored, and I'm very excited.
So first question, like, what if she had said no?
I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have had that video.
Then we'd be talking about something else.
Everything leaks on the internet, so I'm sure someone would have leaked that tape if he's like, no. Is the answer yes? No. So there we have it. Our November 3rd, our 2020 ticket for to occupy, to take over 45 in the White House for POTUS. We have the Biden-Harris ticket. What say you, panel, just first and foremost? Let's start with East.
Yes. A Trump lover, East.
Come on.
I think you could sue him for libel if he
Defamation.
Right. He put some respect on my name. No, I'm really excited. Like, we were talking about the crowd noise and everything. I didn't need any crowd noise to be excited. Like, it's refreshing to feel like somebody did the right thing when it comes to politics. Like, this just felt, I mean, I don't know if he's going to win. I hope he wins. But this felt like Biden did the right thing to kind of shore up that African-American base. So, yeah, I was fine. I'm great with the pick. I mean, I think he did the right thing.
Okay, so East just gave us our first keyword that we're going to discuss, or key phrase, African American, because that's up for debate. But let's go to Rob.
Oh, okay, all right.
What are the Canadians about Kamala Harris?
I can't speak for other Canadians. I can give you my viewpoint. But I think that it's a brilliant move. They've taken someone who has a very well-established legal career, and in the last election, part of the reason why the clown got into power is because it was a very monochromatic palette at the last election, and a lot of people didn't go out to vote simply based on that because they didn't feel like they had any representation that was there. So the outcome was that they were going to get done over again anyway.
Regardless.
Yeah. So with Trump's statements earlier in the media this week saying that, choosing a woman is going to make other men uncomfortable. What? So I hope that all the women in America heard this and will come out to show him that, yes, they can back this candidate. And I'm with East. So because now you have a female of color who's on the ballot. And I really hope that people turn out to vote, even if it's not the right motivation. Because things need to change. Things need to change desperately.
Did Trump make that statement about women, or did Mike Pence and his wife, aka mother, make that statement?
His mother.
When I came across it as a Trump quote, but I could be mistaken.
But I only asked that in jest because, Mike Pence, with the relationship that he has with his wife, it's understood that he's not to be around women alone without her, or he has to get her permission. So that's been kind of the running joke over the past 24 hours. Is mother going to approve this? Is mother going to?
I hadn't heard that one. That's new to me.
Yeah. No.
Hey.
Yeah, like Lizzie's saying, I heard I heard that Mike Pence is going to have to get mother's approval for the VP debate.
Really? I didn't hear any of this. Okay.
Yeah, I heard
This is
that.
all new information. This is great.
I mean, I posted about that East on my Facebook as well, and I gave the response from Miss Sophia from the Color Purple. Hell no. I said, hell no. Nika, what's your response?
All right, so when we hit the primaries, right? When we hit the primaries and I was voting, I had to vote for Biden because he was the only one left. But I wouldn't have voted for either of these candidates individually, actually. But I think it's an excellent ticket, right? I actually like Susan Rice as a better pick. I think she was a better person for the position. But Kamala, did I say it right?
You said it right.
All right. But I think Kamala is a significantly better running mate because, one, Biden is boring as hell. Susan Rice would have been boring as hell, right? And it would have been the same thing we had with Hillary and the VP pick that she had in 2016, just boring, right? Both of them, because Hillary was boring as hell too. But
Tim Kaine
was, oh my God, so it would have been
How boring he was.
it would have been a horrible ticket. He might have made a great vice president, I don't know, but it was a horrible ticket. Plus, if you look, the best that the Trump campaign could do when they queued up their ads was to just call her names and try to come up with phony. That's the best ad they could come up with. But if it was Rice, they would have had like Benghazi, Hillary's emails, that weird meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac. So all this to say, I just think Kamala's energy will invigorate the campaign. And I think she's highly qualified, and she's definitely the best running mate for a Biden ticket. Absolutely the best.
So I just want to speak to Susan Rice for a little bit because I know a lot of people in America, especially a lot of minorities, a lot of African Americans, were hoping that he would pick Susan Rice. And I do think that Susan Rice alone, without any other outside influences, would have been a great candidate, maybe better than Kamala Harris. But Susan Rice's son kind of sealed her fate. Susan Rice's son, Jake Rice Cameron, is a diehard Republican Trump supporter. And I don't want to sound like a colorist, but if you just look at him, he looks like he's a white young man. And I don't think that would have translated well in her defense of being anti-Trump.
Yeah.
And so I think looking at the big picture with Susan Rice, even though I think she was above and beyond qualified.
I agree with you.
And I would have advocated for her. But I think her son did her in. Like, he's a very vocal Trump supporter to the point where she had to do an interview. I think she did an interview with the Washington Post where they asked her about, the conflict of interest there. Like, she is, a diehard Democrat, and she is advocating for a seat with this administration, possibly a VP seat. What about your son? And the best she could come up with was, I love him. I support him. I advocate for him. And I'm just like, sis, come on now. What happened in that household? What happened? And so I think it's really sad because I think a lot of her voice, or what could have been, was lost with her son and the public statements that he's made about supporting Trump. So if it were me, once I decided on a political career, I would have locked him in a closet somewhere until after I was elected.
I also heard on CNN that it wasn't just, the Trump campaign, people in the Trump campaign were saying that this was their worst scenario. They didn't want Harris because they were like, we could do something with Susan Rice, and we could, who was the other one? Karen Bass. Yeah, they said they were ready to go after them, but they didn't have the dirt. They didn't have the stuff to really attack Harris the way they wanted to. I just want to real quick.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I just want to go over the comments real quick. So we had Kevin Thaxton says they pulled off what the Republicans tried with Palin. They actually pulled it off. Jacqueline Robbins said the campaign and Lincoln Project would have had another video ready to go for them. I'm all about the Lincoln Project right now. So Ernest Cooper says, I can't wait for Kamala to debate against Pence. Jam said and Asian, just to let East know about African American. Um, Rupka says yes, great debaters. So, and then there was one more I wanted to say. So, Jacqueline Robbins said phony question mark. Coming from a clown with a fake tan, fake hair, fake university, fake wise is actually calling someone phony. Yeah, way to call it out.
So East brought up a good point, and I think Neo said something, alluded to it a little bit a minute ago when we talked about African American. So if you pay attention to the semantics of this, Rob, and this is a big issue in the States. I don't know how this is dealt with in Canada, but it's a big issue here. Within our community, we really break down the genetic makeup of people who claim Black or African American, and so one of the big things that Neo said that the Republicans were thinking that okay, Kamala is the last person that they wanted him to pick to
Yep.
run with him because
Last
they really
person.
didn't have that much on her. But what they're doing now, they have been the first to step up and play the race card
Yep.
in that they are challenging whether or not she has the right to call herself African American. So if you don't know very much about Kamala Harris's background, she's from Oakland. She was born in the United States. She's from Oakland. Her mother is from India. Her dad is a Black Jamaican from Jamaica. Okay. But she is an American. So at the very least, she is a biracial, half Black, half Indian American. Not very different, not that much different from Barack Obama, whose father was from Kenya and his mom was from America. But Kamala was raised for the most of her life here in the United States. She spent some time in Canada, in Montreal. She went to high school in Montreal. But after high school, she came back. She enrolled in Howard University, graduated in 1986. She is a part of a Black sorority here. But I would say within like a couple of hours of Biden making that announcement yesterday, the Republicans honed in on
Immediately.
her racial makeup, her heritage. And then as Black people, the Black community started to pick up on that and call her out for not being a traditional African American. I even saw someone post on Facebook lamenting about the fact that we have yet to have an African American who is the descendant of slaves in this country
Yep.
on a presidential ticket, which I think is neither here nor there, but that's become the conversation. And so we're moving away because in addition to that, there are other controversies with Kamala, but that's what's been at the forefront right now. Her color, her racial makeup. Neo?
I want to say, so I'm one of those funny people that I like to see, I like to watch Fox News specifically to see how they attack, right? And immediately after I turned, as soon as as soon as the tweet came out, I was watching CNN, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch to Fox News because I want to know what they're saying. And they were attacking. I mean, about how horrible she is. I mean, how is that a real news network? I mean, I get that, there are attacks that come from CNN towards Trump and Pence, but, they're more factual. These are attacks that are just towards, like, how bad she is, how awful it's just, they're just, yeah, they're personal. They're nasty. They're nasty toward, it's just, it really frustrates me when I see that. I mean, and again, it's the most watched news network, Fox News, simply because, of course, again, we have MSNBC, NBC, ABC, and we're actually reporting the real news. And then you just have this one group of people all watching Fox News. So they're the most watched singular news source. But all of those people are hearing all of these attacks, and that's all they hear all day long. It's crazy.
Well, and it's very interesting and ironic when you consider, and I'm not sure if the majority of our audience out there is privy to this information, but President Trump is, for the most part, a Reno, a Republican in name only.
Yes.
Like he has flip-flopped between parties all the time. He used to be a registered Democrat,
Yep.
and he used to be buddies with the Clintons. The reason he stopped being friends with the Clintons is because they didn't invite him to Chelsea's wedding. That's a completely different story. But at some point, while he was a registered Democrat, he was in support of Kamala's campaign in California to be Attorney General.
Yes, he was.
Dedicated,
Gave her money.
or donating $6,000 to her campaign. Ivanka donated $2,000 to her campaign. So, I mean, at one point you believed in her and you thought that she was, you know, the next great thing. And now all of a sudden she's nasty. She's a nasty woman.
East, did you want to get in?
Now, even to your point, was like just 2 weeks ago, July 29th, on the I think it was the east wing of the White House or wherever, the press corps asked Trump about the potential of her being named VP, and he said, "Oh, it'd be a fine pick. She's a fine woman. You know, as complimentary as you're going to get from Trump towards an intelligent woman." And as soon as it was announced that Kamala was the VP pick,
Kamala.
Okay. He went to the traditional nasty, you know, just all the negative.
Same thing he talks about with all women, every woman he talks about.
Yeah. And then Biden said in his speech today, like, we could have set our watches, our clocks to the fact that Trump was going to go down that line. I mean, so they knew it, and he did it. So it is what, as Trump said, it is what it is, right? I mean, we knew it was coming. Now, but I think to the earlier point about her heritage, her ethnicity, I want to say, and I wish I would have watched the interview, but she addressed it in an interview on MSNBC about identifying as an African American, because I want to go back and review the interview, but I believe that she had a conversation with her mother because her mother's Indian, East Indian, and she was kind of having identity issues in, I think it was high school or middle school at some point. And I think just because of her phenotype, that she physically looks like an African American woman.
Which, as we've talked about when we're dealing with race, that's really the only guide we have.
Right. So I think just because of that, I think she eventually embraced being known as African American. Although, as Lizzie correctly said, she's more. She could call herself Asian American and
Jamaican American.
Yeah. So, but I think she acknowledged just the fact that,
whatever she wants.
I think she acknowledged I'm African American, just to kind of cut down on the perceived confusion out there.
Oh, Lizzie, there's a great point online that I just want to read. So Kevin Thaxton said most Jamaicans are descendants of slaves too. Not American slaves, but
say it louder for the people in the back.
Most Jamaicans are descendants of slaves too. So.
But also, I think what I want you guys to, and I feel like I'm talking to my students, but pay attention to how things are written in the media over the next couple of weeks as we inch closer and closer to the election, because I think you're going to start to see the removal of African American from her designation, which I'm okay with, and just a reference to her being a Black American.
RobB?
And I'm okay with that. But one of the other issues that's come up, and this is especially in the Black community, is her record in office as DA in San Francisco, as Attorney General out in San Francisco. People talk about how she incarcerated a lot of Black men during her time out there, how she came down heavily on truants, on kids that weren't going to school. And she made truancy a misdemeanor out there. how she did like a 180 at one point on her stance on the death penalty, whereas initially she advocated against the death penalty for a convicted criminal. I believe he killed a police officer. And so she advocated for him not to get the death penalty. And of course, the police department in San Francisco, they came out against her. They called her out at the officer's funeral. There was like this whole big old back and forth at the funeral, which I think is disgusting. But then when she had the chance to sign off on a bill that would eliminate the death penalty in San Francisco, she didn't do so. So people are pointing out some of her discrepancies.
But I want to point out one thing. I do want Rob to jump in, but I want to point out she also had a back on track program in Los Angeles when she was a DA, which allowed people to kind of reintegrate into society, or they could, if they committed a crime, they could admit that they were guilty, but then they would have a work program instead of going to jail. So there are other programs. She was a attorney general, a district attorney. I mean, she has to prosecute. That's part of what her job is. And unfortunately, the justice system, leans towards, our bias against people of color. So that's what she did do. But that doesn't mean she didn't do her job and didn't do her job well and didn't try to institute things. But RobB?
Yeah, there's quite a few really interesting points that have been touched upon. And I guess for me, what's really interesting is that you have a news agency that is attacking her ethnicity, and it's funny because I know that that's something that exists in Black culture, where it's almost like the color palette. Okay, so you're African American, but at which end of the scale? You're the wrong kind of Black. What? And this happens in Canada too. I've had conversations with my friends of color, and it's just like, what do you mean you're the wrong kind? This makes no sense to me. No sense. Like, if you're getting it from this end, why are you doing it internally too? So I like that they're going to be changing the designation from African American to Black American woman, because if it's going to be a divisive term that's going to be used to try to split up the Black vote, then screw it, rebrand it, and make her just have that appeal. She is a woman of color in America.
Why can't she just be a woman?
Right? And she went to Howard U. She went to a Black college. So if this is the culture that she is most identified with, that she has had most exposure with, then I don't see any issue with her identifying as an African American.
I also think, and this is something we need to consider when we talk about people that we critique for their shortcomings or misgivings, if you will. When we call out, especially our leaders, when we call them out, when we, pinpoint where they have done wrong, where they could do better, don't we do that in an effort to see them evolve, to see them mature, to see them be more progressive? So I'm not saying that, Kamala has had, a flawless record up until the point she joined Congress. I will be the first to acknowledge some things that I didn't really.
Who on this planet has?
Exactly. But what we can look at is, she left, she joined Congress, I believe, in 2011, and has become a huge advocate of justice reform. Huge. And so that has been kind of her platform. In addition to that, she's a very good orator. She's a very good debater. She's not afraid to call out people in Congress, her colleagues, who are doing wrong, who are hypocrites, even Joe Biden, which is very key, because if this had been Trump, given the debate that she had with Joe Biden during the presidential debates for the nomination and how hard she was on him, if that had been Trump, he would have totally dismissed her and never would have considered her as a running mate, because she was a woman who dared to call him on his stuff. Whereas Joe Biden was just like, this is what I need. I need somebody like this who is not afraid. And so I say to the audience here, like, I hear people in our community who are kind of skeptical about her past, but be skeptical, but also encouraged by what the possibility of the future is with someone who is progressive, because that's what progressive means. You're progressing from where you were to where you're trying to be. And if you aren't progressive, if you're just going to be stagnant and stay in that state and say, okay, let's arrest all the black folks in the world, then no, that's not what your platform is. That's not what you're calling for. But we have to take into consideration the entire picture. The entire picture. And if you are a Democrat, and if you are, you may not be watching the show, you may be a Republican, you may be a Trump supporter. But if you are a Democrat, if you are, your purpose is to vote Trump out on November 3rd, you need to listen to the good brother Malcolm by any means necessary.
My dad's a Republican, and he's going to vote against Trump. He hates Trump so much. he
But
totally hates Trump.
But to your earlier points, like you just laid out some policy issues that Fox News and Republicans could have laid out against Kamala, and they didn't do it. They went straight to the racism. Like they went straight to
color. Straight to color. Color first.
But it wasn't just color; it was also woman, female.
Yeah, misogyny.
Yeah.
Racism and misogyny. Yep.
All right, let me. That's the time we have. Let me get some comments in from online. We had a lot. Let's see. Mike Winter said, same in Canada, especially in the areas of Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Rupka says she's a true American, true African American, which is all people of origin. She's a true traditional woman of color. Go Kamala. We have Marjorie Lorraine. We need to take nasty woman out of our vocabulary. Well, out of Trump's vocabulary. That's particularly.
The vocabulary is limited, so you can't do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's all he's got.
You got like 100 words, so you take nasty from him, he don't know where to go.
Jacqueline Robinson, some black folk are so woke that they will happily tear Kamala down and then act shocked if Trump wins again, which is very true. Ernest, she was a prosecutor in a racist criminal justice system that targets black men and minorities. There's a difference. She did her job. And Salai says, vote Biden-Harris in and then hold them to account. Yes, I agree with that.
Can I just get you to read Kevin Thaxton's quote? Comment?
Like when Lizzie starts her church after all her cussing. That's funny. All right, guys. Great comments online. Keep it up. All right. So we're going to move on. We're moving on to RobB. RobB. Is this a truth, lie, or shenanigans?
It's a dark truth. It's a dark truth. Yeah. Basically, just on the on the shirt tails of the NAFTA agreement being ratified, and there was a letter of understanding on the side that there would be no tariffs imposed on Canadian steel or aluminum. Unfortunately, Mr. Trump has decided to backtrack on that, and it's such a horrible time to be trying to initiate any kind of tariff or trade war. One of his ridiculous quotes, it's a misunderstanding. Because of the COVID pandemic, there has been a reduction in manufacture. As a result, there's now a seeming surplus of Canadian aluminum on the market.
Really?
But the American Aluminum Association has made it very clear that in order for America to remain strong as a manufacturer, they need a mix of metals, that the U.S. just can't produce enough aluminum for itself. So we're a wonderful, viable option. We have a lot of mining rights, and it's one of the things that we're good at. So I just want to read a quick quote from Chrystia Freeland, who's the Deputy Minister of Canada. She did refer to the U.S. tariffs as ludicrous and denied that Canadian aluminum is a threat to the U.S. economy or U.S. national security. And at a time when we are fighting a global pandemic, a trade dispute is the last thing that anyone needs. It will only hurt the economic recovery on both sides of the border. And any American who even buys a beer, a soda, a bike will suffer. Even the washing machine that Trump was standing in front of when he made his announcement will become more expensive. So there's a small clip of the Ontario Premier, his response to this announcement from Trump.
I just have to say how disappointed I am with President Trump right now is that we're their #1 trading partner in the world. We buy more goods off the United States than China, Japan, UK combined. And who does this? In times like this, who tries to go after your closest ally, your closest trading partner, your #1 customer in the entire world? Who would do this? Well, President Trump did this. We're up against a real battle right now. It's us versus them. And I've always said, I love the American people. But right now, for the president to come and attack us during these times through a pandemic when we need everyone's support is totally unacceptable.
Totally agree with that.
So I guess really my question to the panel is, what possible reasons could Trump have for going down this road to start looking at some kind of trade war at such an inopportune time, just with the pandemic, with the upcoming election? Who's he pandering to? What kind of support is he trying to garner by enacting something like this?
I'll start. So Trump doesn't make sense to me in general. I really don't understand what he hopes to gain from any type of tariff. Typically he puts tariffs on like things where he can, so he can leverage in negotiations. But I don't know exactly what he's trying to negotiate right now. Is it a simple matter of, does he want Americans purchasing American aluminum, or is he trying to get back? I see that Mike Winters says, RobB, this is retaliation for not opening the border to tourism. He is Queen McPetty. So I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Trump is, it's just like the worst time. It's really frustrating. Why? But East, do you have any comments?
It's almost impossible when given a binary choice, either to do something or not do something. Somebody always does the wrong thing. Like Trump always does the wrong thing.
Yeah.
When given a choice, if he would just do nothing, this would help him because it would help America economically. But he consistently does the wrong. He's almost masochistic because this is ultimately going to hurt him, because it's going to hurt, from what I understand, it's going to hurt the American economy. So I don't understand why he chose now to pull this. Like the premiere, RobB, was that the premiere of Ontario?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the premiere, he said, there's a $9 billion surplus for the Americans. There's no reason to pick this fight. And it seemed like Trump went out of his way to do it. Like you read it online, Mike Winters had a theory. I think he just had nothing else to do. He might have seen it on Fox. Neil, did you see something on Fox about Canada talking mess about?
I didn't watch that long now. I just wanted to hear what they're saying about Kamala.
No.
I saw.
Because he gets his ideas, he gets his policy from Fox News.
Oh yeah. That's all he does. Tucker Carlson's his best friend.
Yeah, so maybe Tucker or Sean Hannity said, go ahead and do it. Yeah, so I don't know. That's my guess. I have no clue.
Yeah, I want to say that he actually. I don't get it. I mean, he lost a lot of potential donors, because a lot of the companies that had to deal with the Chinese tariffs and the money that cost them was significant. So I don't know. I don't know if he's doing the right thing even for himself. It hasn't shown to help anything. He did get a trade deal, but was it a better trade deal than dealing with all the tariffs? I don't know.
And that's it. They negotiated the trade deal, and that was part of the agreement. And now he's reneged on it, like within months. He's just backpedaled on it. And this was just a conditional letter to the agreement being signed, and he's already violated the agreement. I'm sorry, Liz.
No, I was just going to say, this is 3 words. Wag the dog, all over again. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Wag the Dog. Look it up. It's a political satire movie.
I have not seen that movie.
It's a movie about a White House administration spinning a story, spinning a controversy to deflect from what's really going on. And so that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. And initially, we just saw this over the summer, earlier in the year with China. Okay, I kind of get it with China, kind of, especially since we owe a whole bunch of money to China. Okay, but like the premier said, like we
And China
are
was
your
stealing a lot of property, by the way, intellectual property.
we are your allies here. We buy a lot of products. We trade a lot of products between the two countries. So what are you doing? And this is a reminder to the people that this is a president who really does not understand foreign policy. He's all about protecting himself. He's all about I can get you before you get me. And so what we've seen consistently with him is that he'll, bring up or he'll start all of these controversies that really aren't there. But because his constituents are so uneducated, are so not in tune with the Constitution, with foreign policy, with the way government works, that they believe him. So now I could totally envision them walking around thinking, okay, we're about to have a trade war with China. I'm sorry, with Canada, those horrible Canadians. It's like, no, that is coming out of nowhere. This was not a thing.
There's a quick question online to that point. Jose Hot asks, what is Trump trying to deflect?
Like if it came out a few days ago, it could be that he was deflecting the horrible interview that he had with Axios, where he, totally dogged John Lewis. He had no idea about any of the COVID stats or anything. He could barely read off of the
That's
papers.
That was a horrible interview.
I mean, so it could any day it could be a different deflection.
But Liz, they're number one. Look at the line.
Trump is the best at everything, right?
Yeah, but that's what he does. I mean, he can have a horrible interview, and then he'll pick something literally out of a hat to say, "Okay, let's go show the American public this, so we can they can get their mind off of Axios."
And the Axios interview for his constituents was when he said, "I've done more for African Americans than anybody." So that brings it back to we're ungrateful. We are ungrateful because Trump has given us so much.
Yep. All right.
Part of me has to wonder how many agreements or deals, backdoor deals, Comrade Trump is signing for Russian steel and aluminum.
That's a good point. All right. Let's move on to the next one. We've got East. We've got a good one from East. Truth, Lies, or Shenanigans, East?
I think it's some shenanigans and some truth.
Okay.
The Washington football team had another incident involving Darius Geis. He's the oft injured former running back, and he was charged with, among other things, allegedly strangling his girlfriend in charging documents. The incidents occurred in Loudoun County, Virginia. It took a while to get the information. It took a while for I guess I'm assuming his former girlfriend to make a statement to Montgomery County Police, Montgomery County, Maryland. Montgomery County, Maryland had to coordinate with Loudoun County, so there was a little time to eventually have him arrested. Once he was arrested, he was cut within a couple of days from the Washington football team. And the accusations are horrible. I say allegedly, everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but the allegations are extremely horrible. It's alleged that he strangled his, at the time, girlfriend until she was unconscious. And when she woke up, he was crying. It was just a whole mess. So
trying to wake her up, tapping her.
Yeah, tapping her like it's UFC or something. This is crazy.
We didn't laugh.
So like the sleeper hold back in the 90s. My first question is, should the Washington football team have allowed? Should they have let the legal process play out before they just immediately cut him? And if we have time, I do have a follow-up question.
All right.
So I guess we can start with Rob.
Cool. Thank you. At the end of the day, these players are employees of an organization. At the end of the day, these people are commodities who are there to bring in revenue. If someone does something that's damaging to your company, your branding, or your revenue stream, what do? You get rid of that element. You absolutely get rid of that element. And these are real people, real stories, but at the end of the day, these major leagues these professional sporting leagues are money-making machines. And just like we've seen this, we've seen other companies act in this way for much smaller charges or allegations. We'll call them allegations because it still hasn't been proven in court, hasn't seen its due process. But we have seen people lose their jobs for much less. So I don't see why professional athletes should be treated any differently. They get a lot of veneration and adulation from the fans, but I don't think that it's proper. That doesn't give them, they should be treated the same way as everybody else.
All right, Lizzie.
A couple of things. One, I think, unfortunately for Mr. Geis, he decided to choke out his girlfriend during a time where the Washington team is trying to save face from another scandal. Okay, so back in July, if you guys recall, there were 15 former employees of the Washington team, former female employees of the Washington team, who came out and gave tales and made allegations about consistent, rampant sexual harassment from Washington football team brass, up from, people that worked in the front office on down to the coaches. And so they're still reeling from that. Okay. And then, so you have a new coach in place. You have an owner who is trying to figure out what he's going to do about the controversy with the former name of the Washington football team. So this is all about PR. And as RobB said, these players need to recognize that, yeah, they're talented. They run a 3.340 time. Okay, that's not true, but they're uber talented. They are these great athletes, but they work for an organization. It's a business first. And if you are bringing negative headlines to this business, especially since we are trying to get away from the earlier controversy of the summer, and here you come allegedly choking out your girlfriend, we got to get rid of you, bruh. There's no place for you here. And so I think, again, unfortunately for Mr. Geis, he came around in a time where Washington is trying to clean house. Washington is trying to say, hey, we are a new team. We got rid of the racist name. We got rid of the racist logo. We are trying to deal internally with those allegations from earlier this summer. So we can't have this here. This completely goes against the image that we are trying to put forth about a changed, new and improved team.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all of that. I mean, there's no reason to wait for the process to go through. I mean, if you want to fire somebody, fire him. I mean, they might still have to pay his contract unless they can prove that he was, detrimental to behavior detrimental to the team or something like that. So
right, yeah.
They might be able to get out of it. But I mean, the question every time I see one of these NFL players, all I think about is concussions and CTE. Because CTE, impulsive behavior, depression, difficulty, emotional instability. These are all symptoms of CTE. I got some stats. So domestic violence accounts for 48% of arrests for violent crimes among NFL players, compared to an estimated 21% nationally. So NFL players are more likely to be domestic abusers. NFL players are 4 times more likely to be arrested for domestic abuse as well. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a link to CTE and the domestic abuse, and I think that should be a part of the conversation as well. But
it can't be part of the conversation because you can't test for CTE until someone's dead. And I hate that every
Right
time.
now.
Right. So it can't be a part of the conversation right now because there's no proof behind those allegations.
Well, we're
And I
aware
hate,
that it exists and there's an issue. It doesn't mean that there's not a problem
but
just because we can't test for it.
domestic violence is also very prominent in this country, whether it's reported or not, with people who don't have brain trauma. And
I
so
just talk about the discrepancy. There is a
Well,
huge
what I'm-
discrepancy, though.
but what I'm
if I
saying
can
very
interrupt.
quick piece, what I'm saying is I don't want to get into this habit of every time an NFL player acts out, we use the CTE as an excuse.
No,
Because we don't
not an excuse, but we should
don't
be
know.
aware that it's a problem.
It is a problem, but we can't prove it. And so people are saying for every single time something happens,
It doesn't
well,
mean
you know,
ignore it, though. Just because you can't prove something doesn't mean
I
you
don't think-
ignore it.
I
You
don't-
can't prove
but
that a person's depression exists, but they are depressed.
you can prove that a person's
There's
depression
no
exists.
test for. I mean,
Let me interrupt.
That person's depression. That's why we have psychologists and psychiatrists. They diagnose depression. You cannot diagnose CTE in a living person.
Hold on. For this specific case, the reason Darius Geis, when he came out of college, he had first round talent, but he fell to the second round because he had what was deemed character issues. So somebody, I don't know if it was in college, they recognized that he had some I don't know, psychological issues or some anger management issues. His father was shot and killed when he was a young boy. So that can play a part. You know, I deal in juvenile probation. That's a lot of issues for kids missing fathers. So he had some issues even prior to that were non-football related. The thing I don't know about him, I don't know how many documented concussions he had, which could, we gotta talk about it later. We got a hard cut
finish
now.
the thought. Finish the thought, and let me get some comments in. Reclaim your time, East. Daxton said.
Reclaim.
Auntie Maxine. Auntie Maxine.
No, we just don't know how many documented concussions he had, and concussions are the leading indicator of future individuals who have CTE. So, as far as I know, even going back to his college, I watched him a little bit in college. He didn't sustain any documented concussion. He had injuries. He had
Well, it
leg
might be
injuries.
just him.
So he could just be an a-hole. You know,
He seemed to be anyway. So,
and if you take an a-hole and you tell him that he's special and you drive millions of dollars of money to his front door, you don't have a very balanced perception of self at that point in time. You absolutely can't, as a young man who has emotional issues, and then to be given truckloads of money and told you can do all you have to do is play the sport. All you have to do is play the sport well.
And I know we had a hard cut, but even just from a selfish point of view, just being purely selfish, if you know you put your hands on this woman, that's the end of your money.
should be.
You still can't control yourself, something is wrong.
Yep, absolutely.
So let me just add this very quickly.
Oh, there we
and then
go. See, very
it's-
quickly. You got like 5 seconds.
This is a plug for our website. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So he had an additional topic with this discussion where he was talking about Reuben Foster. So right after Geis was cut, the Washington team signed Reuben Foster, who last year was let go by the 49ers for domestic violence issues. And this was a big case, a big controversy with the Washington team because they signed Reuben Foster. So I'm going to put this topic up on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page. Do you think it's hypocrisy on the behalf of the Washington team that they cut Geis right away? But now they have called up
Another
Reuben
domestic
Foster,
violence. Yeah.
who has a domestic violence history.
Yeah.
So look for that topic on our website, on our Facebook page.
Yeah, get on that Facebook page.
That's a
Lizzie
good
is
one.
our incredible moderator on the Facebook page, by the way. All right, so that's it for our hot topics. Great discussion as always, guys. Stick around because we always end our show with a fun game to lighten things up after we're fighting and everything. So
Y'all don't want this smoke. Y'all don't want this smoke.
All right, so today's game is Name That Celebrity. I'll show you an image that is related to a celebrity, and you've got to guess the celebrity's name as fast as you can. First one to respond gets a point. If it's at the same time, I'll go ahead and give you both 1 point. So, person with the most points wins and gets the final thought of the show. So, is everyone ready? This is a good example. So, as you see, this is who?
Amy Winehouse.
Yep. All right. So, not an official one, but let's move on to the next one. You ready? Let's go.
Justin Bieber.
Justin
All
Bieber.
right. Yep, he beat
My
you.
daughter,
Rob,
my daughter is
Rob,
my
Rob
daughter
got
is a
that point.
believer. My daughter's a believer.
And he's Canadian, so, you know, yeah.
Yeah. Rob should have gotten that one. That was a shoo-in for Rob. All right, so Rob gets the point. All right.
Shakira.
Nope.
Beyonce.
Yep, there you go. I was about to start reading the clues. You got it. Beyonce.
I remember they had that song, Beautiful Liar. Like, they looked exactly alike in that video. So that's why initially I thought it was Shakira.
All right.
I don't know. I thought that was an Italian lady.
Italian lady. All right, you ready? Next one.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
You all get a point for that one.
All right,
Cheating
hold on.
already.
I actually think Rob got it in first, but I'm going to give you all a point.
You say thank you, Liz, because that was mine.
Hold on. Wait.
All right. Next one. Well, I'm waiting for East. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
Freddie Mercury.
What?
Freddie Mercury.
Right on the money. It took me a while to figure this one out.
I'm a musician.
He's on delay. No fair. He can't play.
RobB got that one. Quick. All right. I haven't had to give clues yet. That's pretty good.
Gaga.
So, yeah.
All right, Lizzie. Right on it. How could you tell that was Gaga? I couldn't tell it was Gaga.
Hello.
Was it the glasses?
Who else,
or-
who else looks like that?
All right. So Lizzie gets that one. Let me know when you're ready, East.
I'm ready.
All right. Next.
No, you're not. I see only 2 points.
Kanye.
What? How did you let him
It's
beat
the
you to
shutter
that?
shade. It's the shutter shade and that shitty little.
I'm not a Kanye fan,
Uh-oh.
so I don't know any of his, album covers or any of that stuff. So
My son was into the shutter shades with
The shutter
Kanye.
shade.
See, my kids.
Mike Winner.
2 points tonight because of my kids.
So Mike Winner did get Freddie. All right. Ready? East.
Yep.
All right.
Wait. Is the
Oh.
score right? Oh, fuck it. I mean, for
No,
real.
we'll skip the next. We'll skip this.
That was
Skip this.
foul.
We'll skip this one. You got it. Sorry. You blame East. Blame East. Are you ready?
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Next one.
Madonna.
Nope.
Truman Capote.
Nope. He let's see. Known for domestically for his humorous videos, stage performances.
That's a man?
Internationally for his single. He's South Korean.
Oh,
Side.
All right. He's got it. He's got one.
Oh my God, Gangnam Style.
Wait, but what's his name? Who was it?
Psy.
Side.
I have no idea who that is.
Jacqueline Robinson got Kanye. Oh, whoops. I skipped it. Okay. Hold on. I'm skipping this one. Skip this one. Skip. So I'm skipping this one. Hold on. I messed up. Ready? Go ahead.
Al Pacino.
Oh, Rob. He got it.
A young Al Pacino. He doesn't look like that anymore.
No.
I'm impressed, Rob, because I swear I had a lot of trouble with these. All right.
No.
So Rob wins the game. Good job, Rob. Rob
I
wins.
gotta give it up.
Yeah, because I gotta give it up to you by the way. Yeah, it's pretty good, Rob.
Caps beat the Bruins the other night. Caps beat the Bruins.
Because I had
won
tried
today.
a lot of trouble with these. You did good, buddy. Yeah, so I don't know how you got them. All right, so that was a fun game. So before we close out, let's get some shout outs in. All right, Lizzie.
I'm just gonna shout out the future VP of the United States, Kamala Harris. We got your back, girl. We got your back, girl. Come
There you
through, come through.
RobB.
You know what? Special shout out to my kids because they inspired some of the winning answers.
Eat what you got.
Shout out to Joe, who's a couple of rooms over, always supportive, always loving. Thank you.
All right.
I want to shout out all the viewers. Thank you for sticking in, and we love your comments and we love your support. Thank you very much.
Thank
the viewers make it a lot of fun. So yeah, of course, I'm always going to shout out my wife, Mel. But we had a lot of people online. We had Jose Hotz, Kevin Thaxton as usual, Jacqueline Robinson, Mike Winter, our regulars, Ernest Cooper, Marjorie Lorraine. Thank you for joining us. Mike Wolf, Rupka,
Mike.
Jam. Thanks all your comments were very helpful.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all the activity. All right. So that's our show. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Hope you had a good time and maybe learned something, gained a new perspective. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe at TLS Live Show and www.tlslive.show. We should be opening our website pretty soon, so you should be looking out for that. Lizzie keeps our Facebook page popping, as I told you, keeping you up to date on all the truth, lies, and shenanigans, so make sure you get on the Facebook page. On Sunday, 4 p.m., we'll have our Sunday crew minus Z, who's taking a little break. So be sure to tune in. We'll have another guest on the COVID Chronicles series. This time a nurse working with patients. Again, that's Sunday, 4 p.m. And our final thought goes to RobB for winning the game.
Take us home.
Final thought. I really am thrilled about the VP nomination. I really hope that it's a precursor to some huge changes south of the border because we need that to happen up north. We need big changes to happen down south.
Yeah. Shout out to Kamala. Let's go win.
Kamala.
Vote. Everybody go out to vote.
Kamala.
Biden, Kamala. All right, go out to vote, guys. Make sure you get out there. All right, guys. Have a great one.
Girl.